through FKCCI, I used to represent the employers on the tripartite meeting, maybe on the basic wages fixation or something like that. Had the opportunity of meeting even the labor minister as well with the FKCCI delegation when Mr. Ravi was the president. So that's how it is. Yeah, basically, first I'll tell you my reading, because being in the industry for the past 35 to 40 years now, almost 40 years in the industry now, because I started my career at the age of 17 as a casual laborer in government factory, and I've been dealing with the laborers till then, since then rather. Yeah, and I've seen MSME growing, and I'm also aware there are more than about 50 to 60,000 micro and small industries in Bangalore itself, because Sir M. Visvesvaraya started micro and small industries in every area in Bangalore, and we never saw something like the employers really suffering for paying their salaries or bonuses or something like that. The labor laws was also very, very clear cut during when Mr. Visvesvaraya was the Diwan. So coming back to the present day situation, yes, though there is a separate ministry called as MSME ministry, and I've been seeing the successive governments as well, right from 1991, and even before that was still more worse. And after 1991, some shape was given to MSME industries, especially with reference to labor laws. Here I'm talking only with reference to labor and labor laws with reference to MSMEs. And I feel also the MSMEs are actually virtually the bone marrow or the backbone of the entire industry, all of us know, but unfortunately not cared for. ಬರೀ ಸುಸ್ತಾದಾಗ ಮಾತ್ರ ಬೆನ್ನು ಹಾಕೋದು ಅಂತೀವಲ್ಲ ಆ ತರ ಬೇಕು ಅಂದಾಗ ಮಾತ್ರ MSME ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಇಲ್ಲೋರು ಇಲ್ವೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಆ ತರ something like that, you know. Yeah, as far as the manpower is concerned and as far as the labor laws are concerned, I feel as of today all laws are applicable to MSME. What is applicable to large industry is also applicable to a micro industry as well, which is extremely hard burning. So my feeling is that, in fact, just the other day, just tweeting to the PM as well and to the other ministries as well, there should be a separate labor laws. Forget this small factories act, which is going to come, 40 people and all. That's a different one.
Please continue, sir.
The sound is over.
Just joining in. So, please continue, sir.
Sorry? Yeah.
Please continue, sir.
Yeah, is my audio well? Am I speaking
yes,
right? I mean, are you able to hear?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So basically, you know, there should be a separate law, labor law, for the micro industries different, and for the small industries different, and for the medium industries different, and large industries, because the labor class or whoever is joining the micro industries skill set and their family background environment is totally different than those who come from the small industries or medium industries. So this is my take. So let me give you a small example of what are the laws 1 to 9 workers. Between 1 to 9 workers, any workmen are there. Shops and Establishment Act is applicable. Workmen Compensation Act is applicable. Bonded Labor System Abolition Act 1976 is applicable. Industrial Disputes Act 1947, with exception to clauses 5A and B, applicable to enterprises with 50 and above and 100 and above workers. So Industrial Disputes Act, entire thing is applicable except clause 5A and B, because this is applicable only for employees, any company employing more than 50 people and 100 people. Minimum Wages Act is very much applicable, and Trade Union Act, see the Majai. Even the Trade Union Act 1926 is applicable even for those industries which have people between 1 to 9. Even if they have 2 employees, but still they can form a trade union, and or some other trade union can they can affiliate themselves to some other trade union as well. This is the biggest danger for the micro industries. Labor laws exemption from Furnishing, Returns and Monitoring Registration Act in some states. Some states have exempted the micro industries which are less than 10 people for maintaining any sort of register. No attendance register in some states. So whereas in Karnataka it is still applicable. Okay. And let me come the second threshold, I call it as any small or micro industry. Here I am talking only about, because Laghu Udyog Bharati I am addressing, I am concentrating only on micro and small industries. I am not concentrating much on the medium and large scale industries here. Basically medium industry. Because Laghu Udyog Bharati is all micro and small industries. Correct me if I am wrong. And the second threshold is labor laws exemption from Furnishing, Returns and Monitoring Act is not applicable here, and payment of gratuity is applicable here. Anybody employing between 10 to 19 people. Factories Act of 1948 is applicable. Employee State Insurance ESI is applicable. Payment of wages is applicable. And labor laws exemption from Furnishing, Returns and certain for certain establishments, Act 1988. See, some of the laws that micro and small industries are being governed, the legislatures have been passed in 1988. It is more than almost 100 plus years, but still they are applicable for micro and small industries. This is when Laghu Udyog Bharati should take it up, and these are some of the laws which can create problem for them. And the second threshold is between 20 to 49 workers. Okay. See, Contract Labor Act and Abolition, Contract Labor Regulation Abolition Act 1970 is applicable. Payment of bonus is applicable, and Employees Provident Fund and Miscellaneous Provision Act 1952. So these are the applicable laws for the MSME, that is micro and small industries. So basically when you see some of these laws, and if you see today's confusion, especially with reference to COVID, there is no proper definition for micro and small industries at all. At random the notices are issued, at random the official notifications are issued, irrespective of medium industry or micro industry. So now there are a lot of confusions now. So these are some of the acts that are applicable, and basically I feel, we have been doing some surveys. What are the problems that is being faced by micro and small industries in each of the state as well, and with which what could be the probable labor problem that can arise for the for the micro and small industries. Some of the problems which we have foreseen, which all of you know as well, is lack of demand of the product itself, or lack of demand of the particular industry itself, shortage of working capital, and non-availability of raw material, power shortage, labor problem, of course, will always be there. One thing regarding the attrition, okay, and other problems, marketing problem, equipment problem, management problem. The huge management problem in the micro and small industries, which the union is taking a lot of advantage of this. They know for everybody this labor problem is very, very less. Other problems like GST or other financial problems are more. So these are some of the problems that has been foreseen, and this survey is also done by the Small Scale Industries Government of India Ministry as well. But what is happening is that, hello,
Please go ahead.
am
Sir.
I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
So these are the so all these things finally culminate to the labor laws like layoff, retrenchment, termination, or even closure under section 25O of the Industrial Disputes Act and all these things. Now, so with these problems, what is happening is that there is other problems like how do the micro and small industries access to the finance, payment to the workers. One of the suggestions that came was, why make monthly payment, make a quarterly payment? No, monthly payment is becoming a big problem for every employer according to the labor laws. Access to resources and promotional policy. Another big labor law which we have seen in the labor codes is non-enhancement of skills of the workmen and salary getting increased in a very slow manner. And number two, for example, if you say Factories Act is applicable, where is the creech? So they say if any company has more than 30 people or say 50 people, 50 people, including men, and there are women working in that company, let the number of women be working 2 or 3 or even within 5 or 10. But if the number of people have crossed 50 or 50, they should have a creech. Now, can the micro and small industries provide a creech? Creech is not a small thing. There should be an ayah, there should be some play toys for the child, there should be some a doctor nearby. Lot of things are encompassed in the creech, So that is another big problem which MSME with reference to labor laws are being faced. So with which what is happening, and for everything they need to run either to the concerned inspector, which the inspector will not be understanding which the industry will not be understanding the particular inspector will not be able to understand, especially let us say artisans, handloom, and some of these homemade products. See, some of these homemade products are also coming under for agarbatti. Small micro industry who come agarbatti, not big manufacturers, they also come under this micro and small industry. For example, tailoring, people who stitch, all these garments and all, they are also coming under this micro and small industries. Now, my take on this labor law is that, what is the welfare measures for those ladies working in these in the homemade products, or even from working with the home itself, So these are some of the problems with reference to labor laws that are coming in a very big way. But unfortunately, none of them have even thought about it, nor have even raised their voice either in any houses of parliament or in the legislature. If the same thing continues, tomorrow forget the working capital, forget the raw materials. Tomorrow these labor laws will be a biggest problem that will be sitting on the medium and small, micro and small industries. So the labor laws has to be tightened, number one. Number two, there are a lot of experts in labor laws where the cluster of the micro and small industries can come together, identify certain good consultants, and they can take care of all sorts of labor laws so that a big headache can be outsourced, a big headache can be taken away from them from the regular job. So basically, this is my take on the labor laws. Basically, yeah, of course, in today's very difficult situation, whether I should pay salary and can I pay 25% salary, 30% salary, 40%, 75%? That's a big question now. Now, at one side, the government says, no, 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 you have to pay full salaries. Even the court says, they're throwing it back to the government, telling it, come back within 20 days or something like that. No, for everything we go to the court. No, court cannot decide everything because it all depends on the merits of the case. How it is being presented in the court is extremely important there. So basically, going to the court is definitely not a solution at all. The association have to come together and then give a referendum to the government, and the government, I don't know, there's a big gap in the government itself between each of the ministries. The other day, myself and the Honorable President of Laghu Udyog Bharati, Mr. Shrikant Datta, both of us had been to the regional meeting of the PF. So on a very, very vital point, a very senior officer is telling, yes, we will take it up and we will examine and put it to the concerned government, and then we'll see what relief can be given to the micro and small industries. Instead of telling like this, he only said, no, 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 no. It comes to the finance ministry. You have to ask them. So asking them is definitely not a good thing. Now, basically, what happens to the well-being? What about the psychology of the workman? Number one. What happens to the psychology of the workman's family? Number two. What happens to the psychology of the entrepreneur or the owner of the company or the directors of the, what happens to them and to their family, because they also need to have a dignified living as well. So now basically this COVID, sorry to mention this, my sincere apologies, because I've been heading the institute called as Institute of Disaster Management. I'm the chairman of that. One thing what we can see is that in the coming days, we can see bigger disasters than COVID. Not in this form, in some other forum. So probably this lockdown will be a regular affair. Maybe it's a cycle. It's a cycle, maybe once in 10 years or 15 years or 20 years. We need to be prepared for this. So with this, we have to be ready, shoot shot ready for anything as of today. For example, you take leather industry, they have a lot of other different problems as well. And auto component industry, the labor laws are totally different there. And packaging industry, they have their own problems there. So though there are 19 people should be covered under PF. So all these things should be not in automobile packaging. So Laghu Udyog Bharati has various industries. So I think so more than you represent more than about, according to me, more than about 10,000 different industries. 10,000 different industries I'm talking about. And there are so many industries as well. For example, some of the things of the labor laws, some of the problems that could arise is, I'm just giving a small bird's eye view. Cost of increase in pressure from having trade union representation, number one. Number two, payment of at least minimum wages. Now, many of them we are not able to pay even the minimum wages. How can we pay the other things? And should we pay bonus? Should we pay gratuity? And can we appoint anybody with a new skill set? How are we going to open our industries? And what will be our future? Should we close down the industries or should we open? So these are some of the things that is going to come up in a big way. And basically the problem will be with the payment of PF and ESI. So PF and ESI problem will be there, but ESI has recently given an exemption to pay the PF in the future, but there is no exemption from the there was a very confused exemption from the PF recently. Yeah. But one thing, there'll be a lot of opportunity for the medium, for the micro and small industries after this COVID. There'll be a lot of diversification that will be happening. There'll be a lot of skill development in the other firms that will be happening, and there'll be the industry itself turns, the present industry itself turns into some other product industry or some other industry tomorrow. But definitely this is a very positive sign for the micro and small industries, because the micro and small industries can change immediately. This cannot happen with the medium and large industries. So it's actually this COVID, once when it is over, you will see a new renaissance, with reference to labor laws, with reference to skill development of the labor class, and with reference to the industry, and with reference even to the the industry perspective itself. This is going to change 100%. I'll give you one example. See, same thing when the Second World War took place, or when the First World War took place, when Americans bombed Japan. They said Japan is gone. Japan is totally gone. But today you can see. Japan is still in a big way. Medium and micro and small industries are ruling the roast in Japan. South Korea, the micro and small industries are ruling the roast. Vietnam. So many things are happening. So my only submission to the leaders in these discussions are that kindly don't be perturbed with this COVID or something like that, or with any of the labor laws or something like that. There'll be a lot of changes that would be happening. Yeah. Now, as far as the wages are concerned, you have to pay. You have to pay according to the government circulars. You have to pay wages, and how are you going to pay, and how are you going to justify with this one tomorrow? Because the government itself is not very clear. The government. So my submission is there should be a very clear-cut memorandum or gazette from the government, both state and center, with speaking to the stakeholders for what is the salary they can pay, the percentage of salary they can pay for the micro industries, small industries, medium industry, and large industry. Now they say you cannot cut salaries. Now how will the employer get the money without production, without marketing, without this one? So this is the question. And PF and ESI is a mandatory payment with some deferred payments, but tomorrow they may not charge you a 30 to 31% interest and all, but still you are liable to pay. And as far as the termination, you cannot terminate any employee now. As far as layoff is concerned, you cannot lay off any employee now. They will be on your board, but you can still apply the layoff rules of paying them 50% salary. So yeah, even if you're an IT company or ITES company, whatever company you are, but still you are eligible to pay PF on whatever amount you are paying now, both the employer and the employee. And if you're a new company, if you're registered a new company, the government is going to pay the employer contribution of the PF. So that is there. So with this, I'm just ending my talk, and then I invite questions. Because there could be a lot of questions. I invite the questions from the learned audience.
So before I open the floor to the session, there's a question from Mr. Yagnesh. You just answered that, but just to clarify more, today message from the chairman on parliamentary panel on labor has submitted a report which basically states that employers cannot be forced to pay salary to employees during COVID-19. Please comment on that, sir.
Just come back once again, please. Come back.
Today, the chairman of parliamentary panel on labor has submitted a report saying that employers are not forced to pay salary during COVID for employees. Your comment on that, sir?
The voice was getting cut. I'm sorry for that. My apologies. The employers are, what did the chairman say?
employees are not cannot be forced to pay salary for employees during COVID-19?
Then how will the employee survive then? See, the biggest problem is what is happening in the government as of today is that they are just passing on the notification without discussing with the stakeholders. For example, you are the stakeholder of each of the industry. You are representing each of the industry. They are not discussing with you what your exact problem is. So randomly they are issuing, but this is a very difficult thing for the employer to take any decision as of today. Employers will totally be confused. But my submission as an management consultant and as being in those, just follow your regular labor laws even during this period, and maybe with lesser percentage, with lesser percentage of salary whatever you're paying. But anyway, we're taking care of the labor laws. You know why? Because there is one thing, because we do not know how the courts will interpret tomorrow. Okay, so it all depends how the argument really goes, because basically the law, it all depends on how you interpret. That is interpretation of statutes, interpretation of law. See, for example, if you have allowed the employee to stay back at home and work from home, it is construed that he is working in the workplace according to law of torts. It is a vicarious liability, and even if anything happens to him at his home, the employer will be held responsible based on the law of torts. So these are some of the things that are coming up. So you need to be very cautious with these labor laws as well. Yeah.
So there is a question from Mr. Lakshmi Shah. Which are all the labor officers authorized to spot visit the industries?
Basically, the labor inspector. The labor inspector is the first man. Is the first man on the ground to visit the industries.
And there's another question from Nammane Industries. Whether ESI and PF is applicable for less than 10 employees. Can you help us to register for the same?
Certainly, you can give them my phone number. They can contact me. I can help them to register. And because if they are working in some very important industry where employees are subject to some fire, safety and all, it is better to register under PF and ESI, though they are below the statutory. Even otherwise, if something happens to them, because the employee may have to shell down lot of money under the Workmen Compensation Act. So that will be more grievous, where the employer has to pay from his pocket. Whereas here, if they register, it will be from the government side, either from PF or ESI is going to pay them. The burden on the employer will be less. Sir, namaskara.
Namaskara. I have one question. ಇಲ್ಲ I have one important question. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರನೇ ಕೇಳಬೇಕದು.
Yes sir.
ಇವಾಗ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆಗಿರೋದು, ನಾವು ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಮೆಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಲ್ಲ, ನಮ್ಗೆ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಲ್ಲ, ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ನವರು ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯೀಸ್ಗೆ ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂ ಆಗ್ಬಾರ್ದು, ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯಿ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಸೇಫ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು, ಜನರು ಸೇಫ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಲಾಕ್ ಡೌನ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋದು. ನಾವು ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯರ್ ಲಾಕ್ ಡೌನ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋದಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ನೋ ವರ್ಕ್ ನೋ ಪೇನೆ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಬಲ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ನನ್ನ ಲೆಕ್ಕ ಪ್ರಕಾರ. ಅಕಸ್ಮಾತ್ ನಾವು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಮನಸ್ಸಿನಿಂದ ಸ್ಯಾಲರಿ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೂ ಎವ್ರಿ ಒನ್ ಶುಡ್ ಶೇರ್. 33% ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯಿ ಶುಡ್ ಫರ್ಗೆಟ್, 33% government should share. Then we can contribute 33% of the wages on goodwill. Anta nanna argument. Why the government says full wages kodi anta, employer kodi anta, why the government has to say? How they can say also? This, when we have not stopped.
Sir,
and how it is possible for the employer to pay also? Employee will die. Actually, many employer will going to die for 1 month's payment, and then lot of unemployment will be there going forward if the employers are forced to pay. What is your opinion, sir?
Sir, you are telling 33% by the government I go by the argument 100% it should be paid by the government, because the government is, this is a welfare state. This is a welfare state, and we are covered under the articles of the Constitution, where the government very clearly says that the head of the state is going to take care of the people. So here, that is where I see all the associations should be very strong. All the associations should be very strong and speak to the government concerned people, and the government has to support for the, until the lockdown is over, okay, in all respects. And then, take care of the employers, whatever they spend in kantkantagi, installmentally, or ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಆಮೇಲೆ ತಗೊಳ್ಬಹುದು. ಆದರೆ ಈಗ the government itself has to pay 100% to all the employees, and it is their responsibility to take care of the industry now.
So there is a question from Vasundhara R. Can you kindly clarify regarding employee welfare fund?
Yeah, see, employee welfare fund is a very classic example. Thank you very much for asking that. That has been my very hot subject also. See, every year the employer has to pay double and the employee has to pay single. So that is 50 and 100 rupees or something like that. And the total amount as of today that is there is more than around 9,000 crores. So one of the delegation, we got a very peculiar answer from the labor minister of those times. I don't want to name the labor minister now, but along with me, I was part of the FKCCI delegation along with Mr. Ravi Chadakondan, who was the then president of the FKCCI, and he said a very peculiar thing. In fact, I raised that question with the minister on that day. See, now the labor welfare fund is available for the payment towards the laborer class, whoever has contributed, okay, towards the fees of the children of the workmen, their uniform, their marriage, and so there are more than about 40 items in that, where the government has to flush out the money from the labor welfare fund and give it back to the laborers, give it back to the contributor of this one. But this is where I've been pressing with the associations. Please make a claim on this. More than 9,000 crores or 8,000 crores laying there, and this during this COVID period, this will be a great relief for all the employers.
So there is a supplementary question from Lakshmi Shah. Who authorizes these labor inspectors to visit the factories? What official documents they need to carry with them?
They need to carry their ID card, number one. Number two, the ALCs, the concerned ALC, Assistant Labor Commissioner, there'll be a timetable for them, and based on this time, they work on a weekly timetable to which industry to visit, and according to the law, they have to give the notice to the employer 1 week in advance and tell them that we are going to visit your unit, and these are the register you should kindly keep ready for inspection. And possibly because all these things depends on the principle of natural justice. Basically, these labor inspectors are called as facilitators. They are not inspectors, that name is gone. Okay, so they are basically facilitators. Their labor department is there to facilitate the industry, okay, and also to help the industry, to give shoulder to the industry if anything is going wrong, and advise them. Yeah, of course, the gross violations happening, they need to issue a show-cause notice, seek the reply, and then take action. Basically, the ALC and the DLCs, they decide on the inspector's visit.
So there is a question from Dr. Sunanda. Handloom and handicraft artisans work on piece basis. Why the handloom and handicraft weavers and artisans are not considered as laborers? This decentralized sector has more women than men workers.
Whether men or women is not a thing here. So they are considered as a industry, cottage industry, and they come under the micro and small industry as well. They are part of the industry. They have to register in the labor department.
And Mr. Naveen Kumar has a question. So, to which sector does the juice factory packing comes into?
They come under food processing. Food processing.
There's a question from Mr. Ashok Kumar, sir. Ours is a packaging industry which is 3 years old. We have 19 workers staffed together. What is the limit for PF and ESI minimum wages that we need to pay to? Further, what is the limit that I should obtain labor license, factory license, etc.?
Factory license they must, because they are working as a unit and they are using electricity. Okay, if it is with power 10 people, without power 20 people. Okay, ESI is different, so with or without power, so 10 people. So they need to register with the PF, though they are 19 people.
So Mr. Yagnesh has a question. We have 7 employees. Should paying bonus is mandatory as per law?
No.
Namamane Industry has a question. So what is the minimum wages for home industries?
Namamane, what do they produce? What is the product? I think they are into food products, right? They sell, or they're into catering. Right? Huh? They're into catering. Sorry?
ಬಟ್ಟಲುಗಳು
ಅದು ಅಡಿಕೆನಾ? ಅದು ಅರಕನೆಟ್.
ಹೌದು,
ಅರಕನಟ್ ಪ್ಲೇಟ್ಸ್.
ಓಕೆ,
ಅರಕನಟ್ ಪ್ಲೇಟ್ಸ್.
it's Arcanet plate. Okay. Got it. So, okay, what is their question?
Minimum wages for them, sir. Home industry. What is the minimum wages for
I'll send it to them. I'll send it to you. You can send it to them. It is around 12,000 rupees. 11,398 ಏನೋ ಇದೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ. ಅರೌಂಡ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸೇರಿ ಒಂದು 12,000 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ.
Okay, sir. Mr. Suresh has a question, sir.
See, basically minimum wages ಅಲ್ಲಿ 4 category ಇದೆ. One is unskilled, skilled, semi-skilled and highly skilled ಅಂತ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಒಂದ್ಸಲಿ ಟ್ರೈಪಾರ್ಟೈಟ್ ಮೀಟಿಂಗ್ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದಾಗ with the government, I was representing FKCCI at that time. ಅವಾಗ ಬೋಲಾ ರಾಘವೇಂದ್ರ ಕಾಮತ್ ಅವರು ಬಂದಿದ್ರು ಕ್ಯಾಶು ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿಯಿಂದ. ಅವಾಗ CITU ಯೂನಿಯನ್ ಇತ್ತು. ಅವಾಗ at that time the commissioner was Mr. Umashankar. ಅವಾಗ for one of the processes, when they were asking for the minimum wages, the employer virtually divided the number of workmen into, sir, ಈ ಕೆಲಸ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅನ್ಸ್ಕಿಲ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಈ ಕೆಲಸ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಸೆಮಿ ಸ್ಕಿಲ್ಡ್ ಅವ್ರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇನೆ ಒಂದು 200-300 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ದಿ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ವಿಚ್ ವಿ ವರ್ ಸ್ಪೀಕಿಂಗ್ ಅಟ್ ದಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ವಾಸ್ ಎ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ 4 rupees per unit. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಅಮೌಂಟೆಡ್ ಟು ಅಬೌಟ್ 700 rupees. ಸೊ ಹೀಗಾಗಿ ಅರ್ಕಾನೆಟ್ ಪ್ಲೇಟ್ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅದರಲ್ಲೂ ಸಹಿತ ಸೆಮಿ ಸ್ಕಿಲ್ಡ್ ಯಾರು, ಸ್ಕಿಲ್ಡ್ ಯಾರು, ಹೈಲಿ ಸ್ಕಿಲ್ಡ್ ಯಾರು ಅಂತ ಅವರು ವಿಂಗಡಣೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಆ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಒಂದೇ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡೋಂಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲಿ.
Suresh has a question, sir. How can corona problems be an opportunity to redefine human resource business?
See, as I said earlier, when the Americans bombed Japan, they said Japan is totally gone. So today you can see Japan is ruling roast even in India. You see any big automobile, maybe, and you see Korea. Korea was not at all there. So you can see Vietnam. You can see. So this is definitely going to be a big renaissance in the industry. And ಏನೋ ಒಂಥರ ಹೊಸ ಆವಿಷ್ಕಾರನೇ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿಯಲ್ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಆವಿಷ್ಕಾರ ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಬಿಗ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. And all these things will happen probably by 2022 or 2023.
Sir, Ashwin KS has a question. I have 4 people with 15,000, 20,000 salary bracket. Should I need to register for PF and ESI? I have decided to pay them 50% salary in this COVID situation. Is it okay and allowed by law?
If you ask about law, no. If you want to pay 50%, yes, because they need to survive, you need to survive. PF and ESI, no.
Mr. Navale has a question, sir. Presently, what is the minimum wages when PF and ESI will become mandatory for an organization?
15,000 and 21,000. 15,000 for PF, 21,000 for ESI, until 21,000.
Ms. Soundarya has a question, sir. We are IT company. If employee salary crosses 15,000, is it mandatory to pay EPF contribution to government?
Yes.
Giridhar Rao has a
Mandatory.
question. Giridhar Rao has a question, sir. How MSMEs to recover payment from large-scale industries who have been habitual defaulters?
No, that depends upon your credit manager and credit collections, you know. If you go to the large employer, say government has not paid me or my clients has not paid me. But your terms and conditions should be very, very clear. And one thing, the courts are always on your favor. If you go to the court, but usually they do not go to the court of due to fear of losing the business. But basically, your clauses can be very clear. You know, you cannot depend on one large company. At least try to have 2-3 large companies so that you can make up with your payment. If one person who becomes a defaulter, at least somebody can, you know, they can compensate you.
So there is a question from
Never
Reena
depend
Pandey.
upon one large company.
There is a question from Reena Pandey, sir. In telecom industry, can we terminate employee on any ground?
When? Now or earlier or later? When do they want to terminate?
Yeah, Ms. Reena Pandey, can you come in?
So I'm asking about the lockdown situation, COVID-19.
No, you cannot terminate because the patient is in hospital. You cannot kill him. It is as simple as that because you are a doctor.
Okay, there is a no name of the person, sir. What are the possibilities of getting
Anamadaya.
working capital and pending subsidy in order to pay salaries during pandemic?
Yeah, one thing is that the government is definitely going to ask you in your this one big question I'm going to ask all the employers. I've been discussing in various forums as well. If you go back to your balance sheet, you will be having large amount in a reserves and surplus, which are mandatory you have to put every year. Now that question is going to come up if you go and ask any government, what happened to your reserves and surplus? Those amounts are meant to pay salaries, to pay every company this one. You have shown this large amount. Actually, you will not be having that money that are gone, vanished. But this question could come up in a big way, number one. Number two is that, yes, the government should really compensate during this time because the lockdown is done by the government and not by the employers.
So Dr. Sundaramurthy has a question, sir. If labor is less than 10, ESI and PF refuse to register, can we register?
100%, we can help you in registering, nothing to worry, you can contact us.
There is no name, this person's name, sir. What are the possibilities of getting additional working capital and pending subsidy in order to pay salaries? Again, the same question is there.
What are the
possibilities of getting additional working capital and pending subsidies? You just spoke to.
Yeah, basically they have to approach the government and the associations like LB, CII. They have to speak to the concerned ministries and give them these certificates because there is no much coordination between the ministries as of now. That is causing a big confusion to the industrialists now.
So there's a question from Mr. Srinivasan. Why do we need to register under Shops and Establishment Act? MSCs need not.
No, if you are doing any trading activity, though you are a small, anything is called as an industry today. And if you are not having a factory, if you do not come under Factories Act, and if you are having doing any sort of trading business or any sort of any business, you have to register under Shop and Establishment Act. And one unfortunate thing, recently, Mr. Manivannan, the principal secretary, also said, along with me, there's a committee that will be formed along with Mr. Balakrishna, the DLC, because I raised the question. There is a huge confusion in the Shops and Establishment Act. Even a small petty shop comes under this act. Even a big company like Infosys, TCS also comes under the same act. So what is the difference? Because laws are the same. So there should be definitely a bifurcation, like just like MSME. Even in Shops and Establishment Act also, it should categorize depending upon the business, which is a shop, which is enterprise.
So there's a question from SK. Is paying bonus mandatory? How much? How many minimum employees should be working for bonus clause to become applicable?
Minimum 20 people, and in some cases 10 also. That depends upon the industry. Minimum is 8.33%. That is 1 month's this one salary. 8.33 is minimum.
Deepak Gupta has a question, sir. If an employer is paying full in time to the contractor, but the contractor delays the payment of PF, ESI, and also delays the submission of ECR to the employer as a proof of payment of wages, where can employer complain about contractor? What if the contractor vanishes without paying the employees?
No, that is why if a contractor is not paying, somewhere it comes as a vicarious liability directly on the employer itself. So before the employer pays any amount to the contractor, he has to ensure that he has paid all the money for the contract employees with PF, ESI salary, get the challans from him, and then only make the payment of the subsequent month. So don't make payments until he has paid to the workmen of the previous month. Number one. Number two, if the contractor has not paid, you have every right to prosecute him. You have every right to take him to the court for not paying the statutory payment. Number one. And from next time onwards, you yourself can deposit instead of the contractor depositing it. See, as far as the Contract Labor and Abolition Act is concerned, my dear friends, my dear learned friends, let me tell you, there is no difference between a regular employee and a contract employee. All the things are equal and the same for the contract employee and the regular employee as well. The only thing is that this person will be in somebody's name. But if you see, there is always a thin thread running between the employer and the contractor employee. So there is no much difference. For example, Carlyle, where I work as a corporate general manager, in fact, when I was speaking, why don't you have any contract? They said it's all one and the same. So even the security guard was their own employee. So there's no much difference between contractor, this one employee, and your own employee. Yeah.
So Girish Gumasne has a suggestion actually. Lockdown period should be considered as compensatory off, and employees should work extra hours without any remuneration and compensate. Government and employer will not have any burden.
See, one thing is that the employee is ready to work, but you are not allowed him to work. Employee is ready to work, but you are not allowing him to work, no, because of some reason. So how can it be, compensatory off? It is nothing but a lockdown, this one. So what you can do is that you can take permission as layoff during this period, and then pay the layoff compensation or something like that. because Section 5 of the Factories Act is highly contradictory of today's this one. That was the big discussion going on. It says during a time of war and such period, they can be terminated and all these things. But even the Section 5 is not very clear in such case. And COVID-19 is a very new thing. And you like this, a lot of things will be coming, unexpected things. Now the labor laws are all very old one, 1948, 1888. It is not at all, accustomed or customized to today's situation. So much of the thing, there's a confusion with the lawmakers itself today.
Sri Sudha has a question, sir. If someone in our organization wants to go for minimum contribution instead of 12% PF contribution, how to proceed on this?
See, minimum is okay. What is the minimum contribution they want to pay?
Instead of 12% PF, sir.
No, anyway, the employer has to pay 12%. The employer has to pay 12% plus administrative charges. There's nothing called as minimum and maximum in that. They have to pay. They have to pay.
Okay. Soundarya has a question, sir. ESI is mandatory payment. If employer has a better scheme like health insurance, how to go about, sir?
See, if the employees have crossed that limit of ESI, they can cover them under health scheme, not an issue. But people who come under ESI, and you already covered some people under ESI, you have to cover people within the people with salary within the ESI limit for the ESI. You cannot, but of course, you can have an health scheme and ESI both. That's a bonus for the workman.
Okay. There is a question from Mr. Krishna, sir. Construction companies, it is related to construction companies. How much percentage of salary should be paid to construction employees right now during the pandemic?
100%. No, I'm not my opinion. I'm only, telling what is prevalent.
Okay. Giridhar Rao has a question, sir. If the industry has faced severe losses, is it mandatory to pay bonus to worker?
If the industry means his industry or the entire industry itself?
Basically, I mean all industries, sir. If all industries are, some of the industries are facing losses.
See, facing loss, for what are they facing loss is very important. Is it due to this lockout period or some other things is what has to be examined?
They're talking about COVID only, sir. COVID period.
Yeah, COVID is still, COVID lockdown is yet to get over, right? It is too early to decide because they may extend, they may not extend. Now, tomorrow the government may come with some schemes. We do not know that. So let this COVID get over, then we will have some clear picture.
There is a macroeconomic question, sir, from Fresh Green. Does this pandemic affect the pending subsidies a company has to get from the government?
No. It will not get affected. Whatever subsidies are there, the subsidies has to be paid, will be paid, should be paid.
And Vijay Lakshmi has a question, sir. Please suggest, can we pay 50% of wages now and remaining after a few months due to financial conditions, crisis?
The other day, one of the very senior advocate had also come on the YouTube and was just suggesting, now you can pay some 50% salary, the 50%, the other 50% can be paid from their bonus, whichever they are eligible, from their earned, whichever they were eligible, and all these things they were just mentioning. So basically what is happening is that there is no government mandatory rule how much you have to pay salary. Even recently there is a case between Government of Kerala in the Supreme Court as well. And even recently Supreme Court has asked a question to Ministry of MHA about the salaries. So as of now, there is no any notification, 50%, 75%, 25% or something like that.
there's a question from, there's no names. Employees, those drawing salaries more than minimum wages, can we implement pay cut in this COVID pandemic?
No, that depends upon you. So one thing what I can suggest is that whatever minimum wages are to be paid according to the government, pay that minimum wages and then be done with it. Okay. Over and above that, over and above that is left between the union and the employer, or the workman and the employer. But minimum wages has to be paid, and that is mandatory.
And there's a question, sir. I mean, in construction-based industries, if we are not paying the employee salary, what is the impact?
They can go to court, and the employer can be prosecuted for not paying the salary. Sorry?
Hello?
The floor is
Hello?
open.
Hello.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello? Yeah, good evening, sir. Sir,
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Please ask the question.
Hello.
Please go ahead with the question.
Dhanyavad. Tell me, sir. Hello.
Please go ahead. We can hear you.
Yeah. Please tell me.
Sir, good afternoon. Shyam Sundar sir, Srinivasan here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you, sir.
Yeah, I'm able to hear you.
Yeah, Shyam Sundar sir, that's a very good insight into the labor laws prevailing in the country today. We request you to help Laghu Udyog Bharati Karnataka to propose a draft to the government of Karnataka and the government of India to revamp all the existing laws into simplified format so that this industries, micro and small industries can survive in the coming years. You are well aware that this draconian laws, which are dated more than 50 or 100 years old, are no longer possible to be implemented now. So I thank you very much,
also.
sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yes.
Thanks to you, thanks to entire team and Mr. President, our Shrikant Datta and his entire team, and to you as well, and to all of you, and my respects to Mr. Krishna as well, and to all of you once again.
Yes, sir. I request our General Secretary to thank you on behalf of Laghu Udyog Bharati, sir.
Sure.
Yes, good evening, sir. Shyam Sundar, sir. It was very well explained subject about the labor laws and its implications.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And the question and answers, you have answered many questions pertaining to labor laws, ESIPF laws also. We thank you very much, sir, on behalf of Laghu Udyog Bharati. Definitely, as our Vice President suggested that we have to draft a letter to union government as well as state government. Definitely, we will come back to you today itself. We have to draft a letter suggesting the new labor laws which can help MSMEs.
What we will do is, my suggestion is that we'll form a small team of experts who can draft this. Along with me, I'll form a small team of experts. Yeah, sir, I'm able to hear you, sir. I'm able to hear you.
Sir,
You're able to hear me, sir? You're able to hear me?
Hello.
Namaskar,
you can hear me, sir?
ಹೇಳಿ.
ಸರ್ ಈಗ ಎಲ್ಲ ರೀಡ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಬದಲು 4 ಲೇಬರ್ ಕೋಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅವ್ರ ಇದು ಮಾಡಿದಾರಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ಈಗ ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅವರು ಮಾಡಿದಾರಲ್ಲ, ಮತ್ತೆ ನಾವು ರೀಡ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದೇನಾದ್ರೂ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಬರುತ್ತಾ?
ಖಂಡಿತ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾವ್ದು ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಪಾರ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾಸ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ವಲ್ಲ, ಒಂದ್ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್
ಎರಡು ನೋಟಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, 2 ಲೇಬರ್ ಬಿಲ್ಸ್ ಈಗ.
ಅಲ್ಲ, ಅದಿನ್ನೂ ರಾಜ್ಯಸಭಾಗ್ ಹೋಗಿ ಪ್ರೆಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಲೇಬರ್ ಯೂನಿಯನ್ಗೆ ವಾಪಸ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬಂದು ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಪ್ರೋಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ ನೋಡಿ then it becomes adagade, it may take some time.
ಇನ್ನು ಸರ್ ವೇಜ್ ಕೂಡ ನೀವು ಬಂದಿಲ್ವಾ ಸರ್? ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ ನೋಟಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ವಾ ಇದು?
ಇಲ್ಲ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಬಿನ್ ಪಾಸ್ ಇನ್ ದಿ ಪಾರ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ.
ಓಕೆ, ಇನ್ನು ಇದು ಬಂದಿಲ್ಲ, ಗೆಜೆಟ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ಅದು?
ಇನ್ನು ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಅಸೆಂಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕದು,
ಇನ್ನು ಪೆಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಇದೆ. ಓಕೆ ಫೈನ್ ಸರ್. ಓಕೆ ಇನ್ನು ಸ್ಟಿಲ್ ಪಾಸಿಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಇದೆ ಸರ್ ಮಾಡಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಗೆ?
100%. ಮೊನ್ನೆ ಸಹಿತ ಅವರು ಕಾಲ್ ಫಾರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ, ಇಂದ ಅಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಕಳಿಸಿ ಅಂತ ವಾಪಸ್ ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ ಅವರು.
ಅಲ್ಲ, ಬರೀ ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ಕೋಡ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ದೇ ಆರ್ ನೆಗೋಸಿಯೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬಟ್ ಅದರ್ ಟು ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ದೇ ಟೋಲ್ಡ್ ಅಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಬಿನ್ ಪಾಸ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಪಾರ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು.
ಬಟ್ ಆದ್ರೂ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಕನ್ಸೆಂಟ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕಲ್ಲ ಸರ್. ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ಒಂದು ಅಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಬಂದ್ರು ಕೂಡ, ಇವನ್ if one or two objections come from the parties like LUB or any union, the president will give it back and ask for your suggestions as well.
Okay sir, I mean that
Lakshmi sir, this is the time for us to redraft it and submit as quickly as possible. Definitely sir, we will do that.
Kandida.
And I thank all participants of Laghu Udyog Bharati for participating in this webinar.
Thank you for the opportunity, sir. Thanks to all of you.
Thank you very much for your good suggestions.
Thank you, all the office bearers, and thank you, General Secretary. We'll meet again on the.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Namaskar.
Phone ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ನಿಮಗೆ.
Yes. ಖಂಡಿತ.
ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ PC.
Yes sir.
ಆಯ್ತು.
Right.